But we are going to move on to our final subject of the podcast, and we're going to be talking a little bit of draft sleepers. And this is something that we haven't talked about much on the channel just because it's one of those things where it's like, you know what? It's not as easy to look at sleepers as it is in the NBA because there's only 2 rounds. But, Anthony, I'm going to let you kick it off first. Who are your biggest sleepers in the NFL draft?
I got to start out with someone, we talked about him already, but I can't stress enough.
Okay.
Braxton Miller. He's a guy, not a first-round talent, maybe not a second round, and maybe not a second-day talent. I could see a scenario where he falls out of the second and third round. I don't think it happens, but it could. I think he's one that if you look at somebody who could become a starting caliber wide receiver, really good at his position, he's the guy I need to go with. I think what he can do a really good job at. I got to go with Cardell Jones as well at quarterback. A big reason, which I still don't get why he didn't do this. He could have went out for the draft last year.
He should have.
He didn't.
He should have.
If he went out, he could have been a first-round talent.
Mm-hmm.
And that weak quarterback class, a team would have taken a chance on him.
Dollar bill, y'all. Dollar bill,
exactly.
Y'all.
And now he's definitely going to be a day 3 talent. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes round 5.
Really?
It's a quarterback.
Round 5?
Yeah. I can see him falling that far.
Wow, mine's a little, I'm throwing this in there, just a little snippet. This may be like a, Ricky, what are you thinking about? But I have him number round 3, 92 overall to the Cardinals. That's where I had him in my last mock draft.
I could see teams doing that. I could see a team taking him that high, and I don't think that's bad. I think that's a good pick. But what I've noticed in recent years, quarterbacks have just kind of fallen down, and if you're not drafted high, you can fall quick. Last year's the perfect example of it. You only had 2 quarterbacks go on day 2, and I think 9 were drafted total.
Yep.
The year before, A.J. McCarron, shocked he fell to the 5th round. Zach Mettenberg, he fell to round 6. I think Cardell Jones is a quarterback who could fit that falling down to day 5. I don't think it's out of the possibility that it could happen.
No, for me, the big sleeper, and with Cardell, I'll just say this before I get to one of my sleepers. The thing I do not like about Cardell Jones is, like, if you look at him and then look at Christian Hackenberg, I see a leader. I'm a huge guy where the quarterback has to be a leader. That's the main reason I don't like Jay Cutler, is he just doesn't look like a leader to me, and he has that I don't care attitude. Cardell doesn't look like a leader to me. And I know the one thing that Mark Weber, the onside kick, had brought up in our last podcast was dude got benched in college. So how's that going to play out in the NFL if you weren't like, yeah, you won a national championship in 3 games, but dude got benched the next season? That kind of puts on a negative spin to it. My number 1 sleeper, I should say, I got to hit a disclaimer before I say it. If you listen to the Onside Kick or the Primetime Podcast, you know me. I love my Illinois Fighting Illini, and I think I have them going end of round 2, 61st overall to the New England Patriots. I think Jihad Ward is going to be something in the NFL. Maybe not as big as our last first round talent that went the highest in Whitney Marcellus, but I like what Ward brought to this Illini team, that watching them every single Saturday, there were times where I just wanted to say, fuck it, I am not a fan anymore. But he brought this like run-stopping defensive end. He's a guy that can go after and get the ball. And this is a team in the Patriots that, hey, you can take this run-stopping defensive end and put him up against Matt Forte with the Jets and LaShawn McCoy with the Bills.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I'm going to reverse the question. Somebody I wouldn't touch that I think could go round 1, but
Okay.
I wouldn't touch this guy. I don't care where. Maybe day 3 if he fell this far. Connor Cook. What I've
You
seen of
wouldn't
him,
touch him.
I wouldn't touch him on day 1, day 2. I think the earliest I draft him is round 4.
Why?
You mentioned it. He's not a leader, and I don't like his stats don't jump out at me. I don't like the way he acts, the way he acted. What was it after?
It was what was it, the Big Ten championship or their last bowl game?
I think so. That really showed to me what he is. When you draft a quarterback, you are drafting the leader of your team. I don't think he's the leader of your team. He's a guy. His stats didn't jump out to me. He's okay, but could he develop? I think he could. I don't know if I don't think I'd take him in round 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah,
if you take him that high, you're assuming he's going to be your guy.
Yeah, Connor Cook to me is a guy that I had him in my last mock draft going pick number 1, day 2, round 2 to the Cleveland Browns. And the reason why I had that pick was Connor Cook is a guy where he could come into Cleveland and not necessarily have to win that job because they have RG3. Now, you could be on the side of the jokes that I have made, the seriousness side of Mark Weber when he says it of, well, how many games is RG3 actually going to play because he's probably going to get injured. But Connor Cook needs to go to a team that he's not going to be expected to start right away. And one guy, I'm going to kind of flip that question and answer the same thing. One guy that I would not touch round 1, however, I do feel like he is going to go in the first round, is Paxton Lynch. He's one. I wouldn't touch him. I mean, I know early on I was like, oh, he's the best ranked quarterback. And then I watched Carson Wentz's film and I went, Paxton who? Paxton who? Get him out of here. Carson Wentz is a better quarterback than him. But another guy, and this is, you're going to say, well, Ricky, duh, you wouldn't touch him. Could be a sleeper pick in later rounds, but I wouldn't touch him in the first round. I had him going 46th to the Detroit Lions, but Robert Nkemdiche. We know the story at this point. We know what happened. Not a look you want for your team. Is someone eventually going to pick him up? Yes, but I would not touch that guy. Just to go off of your question, I would not touch Nkemdiche anywhere near the first round.
Yeah, he's having a Randy Gregory type story where he was supposed to go pretty high, and he's just fallen off the face of the earth.
He was supposed to be like a top 3 pick.
Yeah, he was supposed to go really high. And I think you're right. I think round 2, somebody's going to take him, just like Gregory did last year. But he's not a first-round talent, definitely not anymore.
Well, and I mean, the thing I look at is Randy Gregory is actually the best kind of analogy at this point, because at first, like before the stories came out where his combine interview wasn't so great and just his attitudes towards the whole thing, like in interviews, he tried throwing Laramie Tunsil under the bus to where it was like, well, you know, Laramie was there. It's like, really, dude? Now you're trying to throw your own ex-teammate under the bus who at the time was being rated as the number 1 overall pick to the Tennessee Titans. So I kind of look at it, and yet again at 46, I look at Detroit and I said, you know what? They've kind of dealt with their bad boys in the middle with Ndamukong Dirty Sue. And I mean, Nick Fairley wasn't too dirty of a player. It was more Ndamukong Sue. But I mean, that could be the perfect team for him because they just know how to handle that kind of just negative player. But kind of to go back to the sleeper side of it, I'm going to pick a guy that two guys that I had going 97 and 98 overall in the draft that I think could be sleepers if they go to the right team. The first one is Notre Dame's CJ Prosise. To me, I feel like if he goes 97th where I have him going to Seattle, does he need to be the star running back right away for the Seahawks? No, but this gives them the option of, okay, we lost Marshawn Lynch. Our next running back in Rawls could be leaving, I think it's next year or the year after. Procise gives them a guy that's kind of a little bit, I mean, he is 6 foot 220, which is to me a good size for a runner, and he's a physical runner, and that is what you want. Yeah, he's kind of upright right now, but he's a physical runner, and that is what you want if you're the Seahawks. You want a guy that's going to come in and just fit that mold of beast mode who just left your team.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one guy I'll throw out there is Kenyon Drake to the Broncos at 98. I forgot to say him. So Procise and Drake later in the end of the third round. Now you can go, Anthony.
All right. I think sticking at quarterback for me, I think Jacob Coker, I believe that's how you say his name, from Alabama.
Jake the Snake Coker.
I think A.J. McCarron has done all right for himself. He was my number 4 quarterback in 2014. And I think if given the chance, he could be a decent starting quarterback in the NFL. Now, I don't know how Coker will do. I don't know if he will be a solid – I don't know if he's going to be like a starter. But I think a team's going to draft him day 3, probably late. He could definitely be one of the better backups in the league. He could be that Brian Hoyer type of quarterback where he's a good quarterback. He can start, not ideal, but he can start. And when you're drafting somebody this late, I think if you can get a guy who's a good backup quarterback, and if you need a starting quarterback, that's great. I mean, look at how the Cowboys were last year with Tony Romo. You might need that guy. And I think he'd be better than the many, many starting quarterbacks the Cowboys had last year.
Yeah, to me, I mean, with Jake Coker, my big thing is it's kind of the whole Alabama kind of scheme of it, where quarterbacks come out of Alabama, it's kind of like, okay, that's cool, I guess. Where, I mean, A.J. McCarron obviously gets drafted by the Bengals, where there's no question that Andy Dalton was going to be the starter over him. If Jake can kind of find himself in a similar situation, maybe like we mentioned with McCarron, or like Garoppolo in New England, where he comes right behind the GOAT, Tom Brady. I'm going to throw out a quarterback because you threw out one, is Brandon Daughtry, the guy from Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers. This guy's going to go late as well, maybe even he may go later than Jake Coker just because he's from Western Kentucky. But seeing this guy, and I know it was only one game, but seeing this guy play against my Fighting Illini, man, do I like this kid. I like the arm he has. I like the composure he has. He's coming out of college as a redshirt senior, so he has that experience behind him. Is he going to be a great kind of a player in the NFL? Who knows? I think the potential's high with this kid, where I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. Could get drafted in the 6th round, and we all know about quarterbacks being the greatest of all time being drafted in the 6th round. So, I mean, it could happen. I'm going to ask you about one quarterback, though, before we wrap up this podcast.
Okay.
Vernon Adams comes into Oregon last year, transfers in, kind of a flash in the pan. Oregon, not as good as it was with Super Mariota at the helm. What do you think for Vernon Adams? Right now, CBS has him as a 7th round or a free agent. Does he get drafted, or will Vernon Adams be a undrafted free agent who gets cut in training camp?
I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up getting cut in training camp, even if he's drafted in 7 or 6 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I love drafting quarterbacks round 6 and 7 because you don't need to expect much from them, but they can be a solid player potentially. I mean, that's what he had, a solid season. It wasn't anything that would be drafting him super high, but he could be a good backup. He could be a solid backup. I think he's going to be one where he's not going to be the sole backup for a team next season. He'll probably be the 3rd string quarterback or maybe a practice squad player. but he could develop into being that backup guy. I don't think he's going to develop into a starting type quarterback in the NFL, but I think he can develop into a solid backup where if your team's missing your starting quarterback for a couple of weeks, it's not the worst thing having Vernon Adams start for you.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that because he's a guy where it's like, wow, he was expected to do so great at Oregon and then kind of didn't. But that's going to wrap it up here for the Primetime Podcast this week. I want to thank Anthony from Anthony James TV for coming on the podcast and talking a little NFL draft with me because, you know, Brandon's useless here because he hates. I don't know how you can hate the NFL draft, Anthony. It's like only communists hate the NFL draft. Am I right?
Oh, you're right. I've been thinking about for probably the past month is NFL draft, and it's finally coming upon us.
Yeah, me too. I love any kind of draft season, but go ahead and click the link down in the description. Go check out Anthony on his channel, Anthony James TV. You can also go and check out the special little one-shot segment that we did for the NFL draft on Anthony's channel. He's also got some cool scouting videos to get you guys ready for the NFL draft. That's going to do it for the Primetime Podcast. If you're listening on SoundCloud, go ahead, hit that little heart button, that repost button, and go ahead, share it to all your friends and family. If you're on YouTube, go ahead, of course, like and subscribe. We're trying to get to more and more subscribers, and also go out and subscribe to Anthony on Anthony James TV. Another thank you for Anthony James. You can follow me on Twitter at Ricky Widmer. Most Valuable Podcast is at Most Valuable Pod. Same thing on Snapchat. And as always, have a good day, everybody.
Thank you for listening to this MVP podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Most Valuable Pod for more great podcasts.